Yo guys, Theo here on Common Sense. Today we're celebrating 5,000 subscribers of the Uncommon Sense channel. Wow, thanks a lot you guys. I went live yesterday to answer some questions I had collected you in a 5K celebration live stream, but we had some technical difficulties. It was the first time I streamed from my new PC, and for some reason the audio kept cutting out. I'm like looking at the computer as if like, yeah, you know what you did. But yeah, the mic messed up, and I don't know why, because it doesn't when you're not live. But anyway, I didn't have time to restart the stream, go through the questions from the start, and I just don't know when I'll have a good opportunity to go live at a time that suits most of you guys again. So I figured, I have the questions, so let's just go through them in a regular video. But first, we started a 5K bonanza celebration stream by singing the Swedish national anthem. It only makes sense, right? So without further ado, let's do it again. Du gamla, du fria, du fjällhöga nord, du tysta, du glädjerika sköna. Jag hälsar dig vänaste land upp på jord, din sol, din himmel, dina ängder gröna. Din sol, din himmel, dina ängder gröna. Du tronar på minnen från fornstora dagar, då att ditt namn flög över jorden. Jag vet att du är och förblir vad du var. Ja, jag vill leva, jag vill dö i Norden. Ja, jag vill leva, jag vill dö i Norden. Wow. Yeah, I'm feeling it. The pride of the 5,000 subscribers and my native country. You know, it's I start smirking while I'm singing. That is obviously just for fun, really. But one line of text is like, your sun, your meadows green, basically. And that's just not what I'm looking out at right now. The trees are like all void of any leaves, of course. There's no snow either. It's just wet and very foggy today. So yeah, the green meadows and sun a few months of the year. Right now, not so much. But okay, let's get into the questions. You know, I must say, so much easier to do this long Q&A thing live, because you just know you have to go. Now, I'm sure I'll be unhappy with how I answer some questions and want to start over, but I can't. So, you know, I'll just do it. Let's just go through the questions. So the first one was about numbers on the big lifts. And, well, this is an interesting one because I want to get stronger. I just don't train like a power lifter. I don't care about a 1 rep max on 3 exercises using a very specific form that would pass competition standards. You know, it's just not my favorite way of measuring strength. And I honestly, if you don't compete, I don't understand it. So a 1 rep max, how much weight you can move one time, is not necessarily what I like to do on many exercises either. Like some, a deadlift is cool to see how much you can pull once, but a squat, for instance, I've just never went for something like that. And I don't do a squat that allows me to move. I don't low bar squat like a powerlifter. I always high bar squat and front squat, other variations. So the squat, for instance, is hard to say. But a deadlift, I recently pulled 225 kilos. Second session in 3 years where I deadlifted. That's kind of cool. 220 was my former best when I did it often. I haven't touched it because of different injuries, and now it just works well. It was kind of cool to be able to hit the personal best so soon. And yeah, I know, because I haven't trained the lift, like increasing your strength in general, of course, it carries over if you strengthen all body parts, but specificity is a thing. So I'm feeling like getting it more into deadlifts. Bench press, 130 kilos is my max. I don't even care much for the bench press. But right now, I just want 140 kilos. Need to have moved that on all the lifts, 3 plates on each side, right? It's just a beautiful number. But I definitely have more than 130 kilos on the bench right now. I just don't care about anything other than 140. Chin-ups, I've done a dead hang like chest to bar chin up with 60 kilos in the belt, and I weighed like 82 kilos at the time. What more do we have? No, you see, I think what happens when you really grow to love the process and you aren't like a power lifter, you I think more about in terms of my, like, I could tell you a lot what the reps I do, like a safety squat bar squat with the side cambers pointing forwards. It matters from which direction you take this bar. It's much more difficult when you have them pointing forwards. It's kind of like a front squat, but you have the weight on your back. I do 5 reps per set with 127 kilos, but that's very difficult. I could add like 20 kilos or something if it was a high bar squat, even if I still go ass to grass as I do. And yeah, you know, the bench press, 112 and a half kilos. I did 6 reps. I have 6 reps with 100 kilos on the incline bench. But the point is, I think this is what happens when you grow to love the process. You care more about your like training PBs, like adding a little bit of weight, doing the same amount of reps, or adding a rep with a weight, because you know that this translates to getting bigger and stronger in the end. How big are your arms was the next question. I actually measured it live here. I have a shirt on that will make it thicker, and I already know now. So it was actually 41 and a half centimeters, which I translated or whatever, converted to 16.3 inches. I was actually quite happy. See that number? I've thought for a very long time that arms are a weak point. I know I don't objectively have small arms, but I feel like if I'm critical of my physique, it's that. But I realize it's probably more that I have really, really well-developed shoulders. So that big shoulder just sitting on top of the arm makes the arm look smaller. But yeah, that was another question. Let's take that one. How do I get shoulders like that? Someone said, because I would say it's a strong point. You know, actually, one idea I had for this stream was to rewatch the first video I ever put on YouTube. I haven't really watched it since then, but it's in Swedish and 15 minutes long, and so I would have to translate it, and it's a bit too long for that. But I just started watching it. I had been into fitness for a little over a year then, and what stood out to me is kind of like I'm just smaller, but I had this like capped shoulders. So probably it is like a genetic strong point. But what I say is I haven't done much overhead pressing. I have, like with dumbbells and a barbell, but there are many exercises that I've done a lot more. I've gone without having any overhead press in my program for a long time. But the thing is, if you do, especially incline presses, but any press, you develop the front well, to some extent the middle too. And if you do lots of good pulling and with wide elbows, flared elbows especially, you're going to develop the middle. And then this is what I think is key for my shoulders. I put a lot of emphasis, outside of having big pushes and pulls, put a lot of emphasis on the mid delt, like either doing lateral raises with dumbbells, the way beyond failure, repping out partials. My favorite, having 2 cables, doing a cable lateral raise like that. Also going 2 failure, beyond failure on the last set. It's amazing for just a great stretch you get on the delt with the cables that you don't really get with a dumbbell. Upright rows, heavy upright rows. It's not dangerous for your shoulder. If you have problems with your shoulder, probably just take a wider grip. But hammering the mid delt outside of your pushing and pulling with like different lateral raises and upright row variations, I think is the key to my shoulders. How tall are you? Nice question. So I've always thought I'm 176 centimeters. It might even say in my passport. But the last few times someone has measured me, I've been 177. So maybe all the training, improving my physique has just straightened me out, added a centimeter. 177 centimeters, it seems like that's almost 5'10". It's like closer to 5'10" than 5'9". And the next question from the same person was, how old are you? And I'm 31. I turned 31 almost 3 months ago now. It's crazy how time flies, but I'll be 32 in December this year. Yeah. Oh yeah, and here 2 questions from the same person too. Do you have a girlfriend, with a little smiley here? And what are you looking for in a girlfriend? So the short answer to do you have a girlfriend is no. But there is a special girl in my life. It's been quite difficult circumstances, quite special, like even outside of us, and it's still kind of complicated circumstances, distance and such. And we've definitely had our problems both, like relationship-wise, like that. But right now, we're kind of at a point where I've tried very, very hard for her, and she kind of has to prove that she is willing to work for me. It's very much like it's very much a situation of I love this girl. I very much want to see it work out, but it's so obvious that I'm not the guy to juggle. I don't want to juggle several girls. It's not like I go seeing other girls, but I've had to keep myself open. And we're at a point now. This is something that happens to me in general in relationships. That I work really. I'm a real giver. I try really hard to work things out, and I kind of spoil people that way, and that's a little bit of me too. And then there comes a point where I just know, like, see, it takes two to tango, and then usually the other person, whether it's a romantic situation or not, will notice that, hey, shit, Theo is gone. If I need him, I need to fight for him. So, yeah, a girl I very much love and would love to see things work out, but I'm open. I can't be tied down to that. She's probably gonna see this, or in fact, what am I saying? I know she will see this at some point. Hey, you, but I haven't really said anything here that she's not aware of. I think so. Yeah, no girlfriend, a girl I very much like, and we'll just see what the future holds in store. I'm feeling really good, I should say, about these things either way. Um, come what may. So what am I looking for in a girlfriend? Like the way the question is phrased, it doesn't seem like a question about looks, but I still answer that for me, I noticed that there's not one specific look, like a hair color, eye color, tall or short. I could find like a slender, taller brunette, beautiful, and a shorter blonde, beautiful, or whatever. But she needs to be fit though. Like either be fit or be willing to. That she's just not been into a certain style, but embraces health and that. But of course, as soon as I enter the picture, I mean, you're just very lucky in this regard if I'm your boyfriend, because I will build you. I won't push you. I won't be like your coach. Girls don't want to be coached, and you should not coach your girl. It's one thing with helping out, with a program and stuff. But and yeah, I should say, even though it's important for me that a girl prioritizes health and is fit, I wouldn't mind if she's not as extreme as me. That would be kind of a lot to demand. But it's just that I know how important it is. I know what's possible. There's just no excuse for a girl that's involved to me not to be fit, whether she was when she met me or she becomes that way by following my example. But other than that, I mean, I want a girl that embraces her femininity, not feminism, fake femininity, like her actual femininity, her womanhood, being a woman, the traits that come with that, just being realistic like that. I can't stand having to deal with people that live in this fantasy world with, when gender is just a construct and men and women are just the same, it's just the body parts, or more in that direction, like. I know I don't judge people. People are easily deceived. But someone that I'm going to be involved with can't be like that. That's just not going to work. But at the same time, while I like a woman that's in her feminine and embraces that, I definitely like tomboyish traits. She's not afraid to get a little dirt under her nails. She likes to move weight around like that, and that has like a little bit of guyish traits like that. And it makes sense because I realize that I'm a masculine man, but I definitely have some strong feminine traits, like the main ones being that I'm quite empathetic and caring. I've always been good to attune to people, and I like taking care of people, which I think is more of a feminine characteristic. But since I believe in yin and yang and balance and that, it very much makes sense that I'm drawn to, well, feminine girls, but that has that little tomboyish trait, and that's why they like me too. That I seem to be drawn to girls that or attract girls that are kind of afraid of emotional intimacy, because I'm of course quite intense in that regard. Like half this channel is emotional intimacy, so I think, and I kind of like it, that, I mean, how should I put it? It's kind of cool, that I think I can pull out of those girls something that they are very protective about, and it's kind of an honor. I think it's kind of intriguing for me as well, to be honest. But so I tend to attract girls that either are very reserved from the start, are like pretending they're not interested in stuff, and I have to pick it up, other subtle ways, or that suddenly, kind of from being all warm, it's like, oops, things are getting too close. Ooh. But the last thing I'll say, because that's something I've had to learn. Like mentioning this other girl that I really love and stuff. Like no matter what, I would be very grateful for that experience, because I've learned so much about relationships and myself, and lots of behaviors that we think are like bad or playing games and stuff. It turns out so much that many times it's not. It's just insecurities at play, because all our shit, all our childhood trauma and other trauma we've experienced, we're all gonna have to confront it in a relationship. So I don't expect anyone to be perfect. In fact, I expect the girl that I love to have lots of traits that are very difficult for me, but um, as long as she's willing to work on it, as long as she allows me to have my weaknesses and insecurities, and to a reasonable amount, support me in that, I will give her the same room. But I need someone that's like me, very willing to take lots of responsibility, look at themselves and see, how can I do better? If Theo, or if this girl is doing something, what's my role in this? What can I change? And I want a girl that looks at things the same way. So, even if there are some challenges there and stuff, or weaker sides and stuff in a girl, I'm completely okay with that as long as she owns it and wants to work on it just the way I do. Okay, let's move on from them, because I don't think there was anything related, right? No. Okay, yeah, the next call was, who do you want to win the US election? Thing is, I'm not so very into news and politics these days. I guess it's going to be between Trump and Biden, right? And I think any person that thinks for themselves would prefer Trump every day of the week. Like this Biden guy, this senile, not pedophile. Like, of course, that's never been proven or something. I'm just saying that it's a kind of vibe some could get from seeing him sniffing all these girls and stuff. But this fucking puppet, senile, obviously evil, terrible person, barely a person, just a front for something else, how people can be drawn into that. Because I'm not saying that Trump is perfect or anything, but at least he's his own person. At least he's stirring things up. At least he's not just doing what the establishment wants. And yeah, do you know one thing I love about Trump is the way he has called out journalists. They've been allowed to be such assholes for long. It's like bullying that's okay, basically. The journalists get to choose which words they use for people. They can completely slander and put people down, but they're doing it in the name of like, I'm like standing up for human rights and democracy or something. And people bend the knee to the journalists so much. And watching Trump's press conferences, I haven't done many, but I have seen some, and that's just a joy. If you're somehow butthurt by finding out that, because I don't care much about this. If you support someone else, but you're a good person and we get along, I don't give a shit, I don't care much about this. That's a funny thing too. A lot of people that get so upset about your views on things and that, I don't really care what their views are as long as they treat me all right. But they're not going to, and they're going to be judging me, and I am the bad person here, Now, but just so like all people that you admire, look up to, that are sort of leaders, they're people that are going their own way and stuff, they're always going to side more with a person like Trump rather than just following the herd, the sheep. Okay, best exercise for six-pack abs. I think I know who asked this question, and to him, the best exercise is a calorie deficit for a long time, okay? A big guy, but all kinds of mass is big, and there's no exercise for the abs that are going to give you a six-pack. You're just going to have to cut fat, and that's true for most people. Most people, there's some people with underdeveloped abs that have to. They're going to look better if you develop them more, but some that have really little muscle mass, it would take more than just losing the weight. They want to hypertrophy their abs a bit. But this guy in particular definitely just has to cut fat. Look, I have a video about six-pack abs and approach already, and several exercises I recommend. So you can, if you go search six-pack on the channel, you're going to find it. But what I'll say is, like, in general, any exercise that you can find and treat as you would pretty much any other exercise for any other muscle. Because it's a weird mistake, a lot of people do that for abs. They just do like high reps or circuit things that just burn a lot. And it's going to be difficult at a point to make progress in terms of building muscle and not just building some some kind of endurance in the abs. So if you can do like a cable crunch, I don't personally like that. Nothing wrong with exercise. I just never connected with it. But then you can move up the weight stack, or if you can do some kind of crunching bench and you can hold the weight, and then you keep it in like the 8 to 12 rep range and apply progressive overload either with reps or with weight, double progression. You progress the reps before you progress the weight. Makes sense a lot of the time. But you see what the point is, that I have the video with more exercises, but the point is treat the abs when you train them as you would any other exercise. Use weight. Stay in that like 8 to 12-ish. It's not like it would matter if you went a little bit higher or something. But and apply progressive overload there, and your abs are gonna develop just like any other muscle. Best way to start fasting. So my recommendation is always that if you can, just rip off the band-aid and do a 72-hour fast right away. Because it's long enough. It's a challenge, but it shouldn't kill anyone who isn't like severely malnourished. It shouldn't kill. It definitely won't. 3 days is enough to reap a lot of the benefits, effects. You will notice it, and it will just shatter a lot of your illusions about hunger and the need for food and that. And so it's not necessarily that now all the fasts are shorter will be easier, because sometimes when we try a fast like that, we view it as sort of a special. Like my first fast was 5 days, and it was quite easy, but that was because I thought of it as a one-off thing. And then when I wanted to try shorter fast, realized I want to experiment more with this. I actually failed some 48-hour fast sometimes in that. But I knew, though, that I can do it, So it's just a great head start if you manage to get like the full 3 days in the first time you try. But if you fail to do so, if it's just too much for you, you have to dial it back and apply some progressive overload. Start wherever is pushing it a bit further beyond where you have been, and then going up. So 24 hours you could start with, then doing a 36 hours, which is basically, just pulling out the day of eating. You eat dinner, you don't eat the next day, eat at the start of the day after that, then 48, and so on. So that's my recommendation. Either rip the band-aid off, pull a 3-day fast immediately, if you can't work yourself up from a 24-hour fast. No muscle and a belly, where to start? Yeah, and I made a video recently about, which one was it? Oh yeah, about a body recomp, like when you burn fat and build muscle at the same time. If you have no muscle and a bit of fat to spare, you're in a great position to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. So you don't really need to focus on eating enough to support muscle growth. You don't really need to focus on holding back to cut weight either, but if anything, that's what you should do, and just keep the protein high. 2 grams of protein per kilo of ideal body weight. You don't need more protein because you're fatter. And then if you eat enough protein at maintenance or below, and smash your workouts, 2 full body workouts consisting of mainly compound exercises like squats, deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, barbell rows, lat pull downs, chin ups, bench presses, shoulder presses, whatever suits you, but those kinds of movements. If you push them hard 2 times per week, progressively overload, eat enough protein in a deficit, this is what's going to happen to your body composition. You're going to melt fat as you put on muscle, and then it's going to stall at some point. You're going to have to decide, do I want to focus more on cutting and maybe the gains slowing down a bit, or do I want to actually start eating more and make progress faster? So when you are skinny fat, no muscle and a belly, as you said, great position to just recomp, but then at the point when you feel like it's not happening much in either direction, pick one way to go from there. And of course, you can start training more often than that, but since you asked where to start, this is exactly what I would have done to start, with 2 full body workouts if I were to start over. Favorite meal? I've been asked this before. The thing is, I don't even know, because I think about food in such a utilitarian way these days. I enjoy what I eat, but I think mainly of nutrition, fuel for me. So good piece of meat with some potatoes and like some creamy sauce, some vegetable carrots, cucumbers and shit on the side. Sounds amazing to me. I don't need much more to be very, very happy. I do love the eggs. I ate that just before the video. Eggs, cook the egg whites, keep the egg yolks raw, mix it all with rice. You have salt in there and honey. This is just amazing. I think it is amazing, and it's very anabolic and healthy. So I really don't have a favorite meal. I just like real food. I get more excited about, like when I found high quality eggs from local farmers on Gotland. I was like, yeah, I'm excited as if I'm a kid about to get a dessert or something. Same with a good steak and that. Favorite cheat? I was also asked. Well, first of all, I don't cheat. I don't. It's a very poor way of viewing something you eat as you cheating. You cheating yourself. That's not what you want to do. I of course understand the question, but it's still a kind of a mindset thing. Don't ever think about it as cheating. So, and but the other thing is though that I don't really ever feel like eating something I shouldn't. Because I'm so happy eating what I do, and when I decide to eat something that's like on the paper less healthy, I don't view it as a cheat. I've chosen to do it. I didn't fall to temptation or something. So what I just refuse is the hyper processed stuff. Chips made in some terrible oil, candy with just a whole bunch of ingredients that you have no idea what it is. I prefer to have something like yesterday. We played golf, and afterwards we have fika, and I have one of these little chocolate balls. Because if I'm healthy, I exercise, I eat well, sleep well, eat mostly good food, and I throw a little like 200 calories of a chocolate ball on top of that, it's not going to do anything. I'm also not bulking necessarily now. I'm kind of maintaining weight in preparation for bulking again, but I don't mind. If anything, I don't want to lose more weight. So you see, something I love is blueberry pie with vanilla sauce. But all these things, you see, things that are like baked like that, the poison is more in the dosage. Like the ingredients can be all right in and of themselves. It's just that if you overeat on this, yeah, you'll get fat and it's no good. But so I don't really cheat. Even when I cheat, I don't view it as a cheat. And those, I prefer options when it's something like homemade, real ingredients. Why is weight loss so difficult? Someone asked next. Well, I thought a lot about this. I think I've talked about it before. That quitting any addiction is difficult. Addiction is some degree of escape from pain. Pain being an inclusive word. It could be even just boredom. But yeah, I think what makes food so very difficult is that food is something you have an actual need for, while certain, like let's say substances, drugs, well, you may have, because you've used it as an escape from some kind of pain, you might feel this need to have it, but it's not from the start. No one was born needing cocaine to survive, but people are born needing to eat to survive. So I think that's the problem. You can't just quit food. You have to change your behavior with it. You can't push through withdrawals and then never touch the thing again. No, you're going to have to find a good relationship to eating, improve both the quality and quantity of what you eat. And I also think it's difficult to determine, do I feel an actual need to eat, or am I just having cravings for my drugs here, kind of. I think this is why weight loss is so difficult, because quitting addictions is difficult, but this is an addiction to something that you still need. It's kind of like someone doing a drug every day is forced to not quit cold turkey, but just do it every once in a while. Just do it on the weekend. Probably more difficult than just quitting completely, right? How do I get shoulders like that? I took that earlier. Going back to Greece? Question mark. Well, actually, in relatively soon, I might go there for just social reasons, like just for a few days, mini vacation. I of course made some connections there. Long term, I'm open to it. It's just I've not been in a hurry about it. I have some things happening back here in Sweden. But there's one thing. There's like a potential job opportunity when a guy I know that's very similar to me, he's kind of working with drug rehabilitation. He makes these like retreats where they have people like me to, because not we just talked about addiction, and I think I know a thing or two about it, but mainly, people to talk with, but also go through exercise and diet and do different holistically healthy activities like that. It's possible I have a job opportunity with that in Greece in not too long, and that's something that could make me go back for a longer time sooner, but it's not guaranteed. And other than that, other than a mini vacation, not anytime soon, but definitely sometime. I'm very open to it. Is sleep really that important? I like this one. It is extremely important. Like, like no matter what, like anything you want to accomplish or any problem you have should improve by you improving your sleep. It's the only time when we actually repair, our only true repair mode. But kind of what I want, my point I want to make about sleep, I find this so annoying in the fitness community. That it's such black and white or very absolute advice. Sometimes it sounds like if you're not sleeping enough, like there's just no point. Like you won't be losing weight, you won't be making any muscle progress whatsoever. No, no, no. But the point is, like, yeah, even improving your sleep would improve weight loss and muscle gains. It's very established. Like the body is more muscle catabolic when you sleep less, more prone to store more fat. So it's true that it's very important. It matters. It's one of the best things you can do to improve. That being said, you should not let, if your sleep is suboptimal, don't let that get in the way of pushing your training or trying to lose weight, because you still absolutely can make progress. It's like we're talking training. Maybe if you're very advanced at some point and you're training very hard and undersleeping for a long time, okay, maybe you actually have to improve your sleep to catch up. But I've managed to keep making progress at times when I'm like just stressed and sleep less for an extended amount of time. You can still absolutely lose weight just because the body holds on to fat a bit more when you sleep less. It doesn't mean that you can't. So this would be my nuanced view, that absolutely sleep, you should make it a priority. Better sleep will improve pretty much everything for you. But with that being said, it's not the end of the world if you struggle with sleep. It's things are just like sleep will just improve everything. You can see things will just be worse when you sleep less, but they are not completely ruined. Very important, but don't don't freak out if you have problems with sleep. I mean, sleep is something I've had to struggle with a lot. Like that I have pretty good sleep habits these days. It's not by coincidence. It's taken a lot of intention. I still struggle a bit sometimes, but I manage to get what I need to do done anyway. Are you good at golf? Someone asked, because I put a few stories. I've been playing golf, just hitting balls in like a tent, practicing driving range a few Sundays now. I'm not. Like, it depends on what you mean. I played golf for a very long time. I've just never been very serious about it. At times, as a kid, we played more and then less. Then there have been many years when I didn't even touch a club. I would say I have talent for the game, but I played too little, so I'm too uneven. Um, Something very cool is that I got better. Did not golf for years when I started training. Came back to it and played better than ever. Not only hitting the ball further, hitting it more often. It just goes to show that full body smart strength training, it improves your capability at literally anything, because not just getting stronger, more power, but just better contact with the body. So and I would say, according to how little I play, I'm very good, but as some kind of objective measure, no, I'm very much an amateur when it comes to golf. Are you Christian? I don't get it. Someone asks. Well, no. It's annoying for me, because the way I made some videos about Christianity and God, I guess that's why this person is asking. But I kind of wish I was Christian in a sense. I wish I thought there was a one true religion. I just don't. The way I found God, it was an inner experience. And so it's very hard for me to look at, like, because to me, I don't want to talk all arrogant here as if I had the one truth, but to me, the way I found God, it's just so obvious that there's no one true religion. There's just a one true God, and the religions are just attempts, paths at going there, but God is God. And so it's very hard for me to identify with any religion. The tricky thing, though, is that there's so much bullshit going around with a new age spirituality. It's like a labyrinth, because there are people that are more like generally spiritual, that have a lot of insightful things to bring, but there are also a lot of crap. People, like, they use similar language too, which is troublesome, because they spew a lot of bullshit. So it's both that you, if you're like having some kind of general spirituality, you get associated with that. But the other thing is, it's kind of difficult to create a community around, well, I have this general belief in spirituality and God. And that's one of the major upsides I think religion has. but it's just so difficult for me. Should I pretend to be a Christian now? Because I just really see it as a good path towards God for the one that needs it. But if I already know God, why should I pretend to, you know, yeah, that's kind of my thing. Then, of course, I get along really well with a lot of Christians. But that's another reason I have this more general. I've noticed that there are Christians I don't agree with at all, and there are Muslims I agree with a lot, and Hindus and Buddhists. So that's why, in the end, it's not about the path there, but there, God. Um, oh yeah, the last one I put here, someone asked it in the chat before the stream went down, is that it's an interesting choice of words. Is 3 meals a day, intermittent fasting, 16/8, beneficial for bulking? I thought it was an interesting way to put it, because that sounds like, is it something that's extra good about doing 16/8 when you're bulking? The answer to that is no. Like the most important thing would be food quality, like in general, that you're eating good food and enough of it to support gains, enough protein, and that you're smashing your workouts hard, applying progressive overload, then it's not going to matter if you do 16/8 or not. I'm someone that believes the science hasn't quite caught up, but that long term, having done both prolonged and intermittent fasting is probably good for putting on muscle because for the insulin sensitivity. But if you already have good insulin sensitivity and you eat good food, and you eat in a bit bigger window or a bit more often than 3 meals, it's not like that it's going to be worse for putting on muscle than doing 16/8. So it's not beneficial for bulking. It's just it just works if you eat enough and smash your workouts. When we're talking about the benefits to intermittent fasting, it's more about cutting, strategy. It's a good rule. It's an easy rule for people to follow. Sometimes having a restriction, like this is the time I eat that, and delaying eating till later in the day and stuff. When it comes to bulking, it's just that, nah, it just doesn't hurt really, as long as you get the other things right. But yeah, those were the questions I collected from you guys. So yeah, 5,000. It's gone quite slow. But I'm in this for the long term. Have a lot of thoughts. If you stuck around with me for this long, please give me some encouragement, because I've thought about stopping this, like not completely, but changing tracks, because it's just such a grind to make the channel grow in the way I want to, by not like kind of selling out too much and that. And yeah, I'm just thinking maybe I should spend my time in other places. But I would never give up on this completely. But I think one problem has been at times when I've been struggling really hard in my life, I've forced myself to do more videos than I feel like. And all of a sudden, something I started with, not as a job or anything, just because I really want to do it, enjoyed it, all of a sudden I associated with something I have to do. I should have probably just allowed myself to take a little step back at those times, which I did later, but do that sooner. But yeah, guys. Give me some encouragement if you stay with me this far. I do appreciate you guys that do follow and comment and like and all that. And yeah, guys, let's see where the future takes us. Peace.